Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kirby, for the introduction. And I just want to thank Garfield County as well and CMU for putting this event together. So please, let's just give it up for them one time. Thank you. So before I get started, I want to take a moment to introduce a couple members of my team who need no introduction. I know they are in contact with many of you. We have Dana here today. Please raise your hand, Dana. And Chris, if you don't know them, I know many of you already do. There's Chris. They are our amazing regional managers, and they are here to support you in everything that you do. So, yes, they are. They are amazing. So I have now been at DOLA for close to 4 months, and I couldn't be more excited. I also come from local government. Prior to coming to DOLA, I was part of the governor's executive team, and before that, I was mayor pro tem of the city of Westminster, so my heart has always been with local government, and I couldn't be more excited to be back, to be doing this work. You know, for the Department of Local Affairs, our primary mission is to facilitate the exchange of resources, information, and assistance to local government. So we are essentially the state agency that is here really to support you and make sure that we're strengthening local communities across our state. So today, I want to talk to you a little bit about the distribution, utilization, and impact of severance tax. I want to talk to you about what we do at DOLA, because I want to make sure that you know everything that we do, so you could make sure that we're here to support you in any of the projects that will help strengthen your communities. Here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this pretty well. So the Department of Local Affairs, we have different divisions and offices. So let me start first with the Board of Assessment Appeals. This one is tasked with impartially reviewing and assessing any disputes related to property taxes. Their job really is to make sure that we're having equitable distribution, and they are there to really support these efforts. Just this year alone, it's been extremely busy. We've had 21 hearings in December alone, and so they are there to support these efforts. We have the Division of Housing as well. This is one that I know many of your teams already work with, but I want to make sure that if you're not already in touch with them, and I know through Dana and Chris, you know, that you could be getting in closer communication to make sure that they are supporting you in your efforts, especially around like affordable housing and also on housing security, and how do we make sure that we can support Coloradans on this effort. They provide financing related to affordable housing, to gap financing, and also resources for Coloradans themselves related to rental assistance, mortgage assistance, et cetera. The other division that we have is the Department of Local Government, which Chris and Dana are a part of, and their role really is to exist to support you with training programs, technical assistance, and resources as well. We have the Property Tax Division, which I think the name says for themselves what they do, but they are here really to provide resources and support in this area. And last but not least, we have the State Demographer's Office. I want to make sure that you do know they're here and that you utilize their resources. They have so much data. And if your communities are working on a grant and you need specific information related to your community, please let Elizabeth and their team know, because they are there to support you. Okay, so I want to talk to you a bit about some of our strategic priorities. There are many priorities that we're working on as a team, but I'll mention a few that right now are top of mind. So one of them is DOLA has been the largest recipient of state and federal funds of any other agency in the state. We received $1.5 billion. 85% of those funds have already been awarded, and the rest are allocated. But our priority is, how do we make sure that every penny is out the door by 2026? The other thing is, you know, even just before this presentation, I had, you know, the great honor of sitting down with some of, you know, the commissioners and mayors. Housing is top of mind across Colorado. I don't think there's ever a community that I meet with that they don't bring this as a challenge. So one of our priorities, how can we make sure that we are expanding housing options? It is also a top priority for the governor and something that we're working to supporting across our state. Also is along those lines is how do we make sure that we are improving operational and effectiveness and capacity. You know, as I mentioned, we have been the biggest recipient of federal and state funds. We've done the best that we could to get that money out the door, but we've also grown very quickly, and there's been bumps along the road. So one of the things that I'm looking at is let's take a look under the hood. Let's figure out where we can cut red tape, where we can make things more efficient, because time is money. So we want to make sure that we can get things out the door quickly. And the other thing that we are working on is how do we build more resilient in local communities? How do we make sure that we are supporting your efforts? You know, just here I was talking to the mayor of Peonia, and we were talking about water, you know, how that is such a big challenge. You know, we were talking also about trails and infrastructure. You know, we're talking about, again, housing. So, you know, our job is how can we make sure that we're supporting you in these efforts? And so here is kind of, what are, you know, especially my priorities before the end of our fiscal year, which is June 30th. So expanding a little bit on this. So currently, the Department of Local Affairs, we're doing a strategic planning. It is the first one that we've done since 2010. I think it's fair to say a lot has changed since 2010. So we are taking a look at that. And along those lines, one of the things that we're working on is we're doing a transformative assessment of the Division of Housing. As I mentioned, we've grown extremely quickly. So how do we make sure that our policies and processes have kept up with that growth to make sure that we can be as effective as possible? The other thing that I'm looking at and that we're looking at is we received all of these funds, right? Which meant we had all these pots of money, but that money is going away. So, but the crisis, you know, the housing crisis is not going away. The needs of your community are not going away. So it's how are we making sure that we're being as efficient as possible with the money that we currently have. I talked about cutting red tape. Time is money. You know, so I've asked our deputy director to work with our accounting team and the back of the house staff to look at where are areas that we could be more efficient. You know, where are things that a contract is taking long to get out? Why is it taking so many days in this specific office and department? So the team's currently working across all divisions to look at where are areas that we can be cutting red tape and become more efficient. The next one is Proposition 123. This was passed by Colorado voters. We distributed the first time round. Well, we're currently actually in that fiscal year through June 30th. And initially, you know, 60% of that money went to the Office of Economic Development, 40% came to the Department of Local Affairs. All of the money is really geared towards affordable housing. For us, our priorities are related to homeownership, homelessness, and technical assistance for the communities that have decided to opt into this funding. So our focus right now is, as we look at the second round, which is about $311 million for both agencies, is how are we getting a little bit more creative into what other pots of money, what areas should we be allocating that money. So right now, our Division of Housing is going through a stakeholder engagement process, gathering input into some of the policy areas that we are looking at. And then the last one, which, as you can tell, is a big priority for our agency because I have it in two different slices, is making sure that every dollar gets out the door by 2026. So next, now that we've covered a little bit about what we do at the Department of Local Affairs, I want to talk to you about the distribution of severance tax. The Colorado severance tax is levied on non-renewable natural resources extracted from the earth, including oil and gas, metallic minerals, coal and shale, et cetera. And this tax ensures that the state benefits, you know, from the extraction, and mostly like how are we helping your communities become even stronger with this dollar. So it's really how do we use this money to support your local governments. Since 1977, Colorado has taxed the extraction of non-renewable natural resources, and the Department of Revenue administers the state severance tax, and DOLA receives about 50% of this severance taxes in the local government severance tax fund. We use these funds to provide grants to local governments, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that and what that looks like. So the local government severance tax fund compromises of, it has two components. One of them is the Energy Impact Assistance Fund, which contributes to 70% of the total, supporting a competitive grant program for local governments through regular grant cycles. And then the other is the 30% of that is direct distribution, which provides grants to local governments based on a statutory formula that we follow this. Okay, so I think, this kind of what we wanted to show is, kind of the severance tax through the years. I think, this revenue is highly susceptible to the fluctuations due to the dependence on commodities, so it really varies year to year how much severance tax we received. This is really talking to you about, how decisions are made. We have the Energy Mineral Impact Assistance Fund Advisory Committee. It's composed of 12 members, and we're going to be having elections here shortly. This committee plays a vital role. I know many of you participate in it, but they help review the grants and the loans. And essentially, it has 7 members that are appointed by the governor and 5 representing state executive offices. While the governor appoints the committee members, the executive director ultimately makes the final decision. But I really rely on the recommendations of the committee to make them. Okay. So now that I've talked to you about just high level how severance tax works, let's talk a little bit about how these dollars are actually utilized. The Energy Mineral Impact Assistance Fund serves as a critical source of funding for public facility construction and services, and it's all aimed at strengthening communities and bolstering your infrastructure and welfare. Through these initiatives, such as the Main Street livability investments for vibrant economies, climate resilience challenge, and more housing now, it strives to address diverse needs and challenges that are needed in the communities. Here is really just talking to you if you're interested. I know many of your communities already utilize these funds, but if you're interested in accessing it, to initiate, if you want to receive some of this funding, contact your regional manager, contact Dana, contact Chris, and let them know about what you're thinking. They offer invaluable guidance, and they can let you know, if your project would likely get funding or not. But they're really here to support you and navigate, help you navigate this process. And here, this information is on our website as well, so you can see their contact information there. Here, I just really wanted to walk you through so you see where the money has gone and what we've done. So in 2023, the EIAF grants played a vital role in bolstering community infrastructure and welfare. 270 local governments received $112.8 million. Additionally, 357 local governments received $54.4 million in severance direct distributions, while another 357 received $34.4 million in federal mineral lease distributions. Furthermore, $2.5 million were received in federal mineral lease school distributions, and they were awarded to 260 governments. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about, the impact that it's had in our communities. There we go. So here you can see where the money has gone across our state. So among the top awarded counties for severance tax are Weld County, which received $33.6 million. That's followed by Garfield County, which received $17.1 million. Routt County secured $14.6 million, and Rio Blanco obtained $9 million. Additionally, Huérfano received $8.2, Mesa $7.9 million, Larimer received $5.5 million, and Grant County received $5.1. Craig, I think talking about workforce and affordable housing, again, because these are issues that I hear a lot from you. Craig received $1.5 million for Woodbury workforce housing infrastructure aimed at supporting 120 unit of workforce housing in rental. Hayden was awarded $2 million in Prairie Run affordable housing infrastructure intended for the first phase of 129 units. And additionally, the Jampa Valley Authority received $6.9 million for Brown Ranch infrastructure to facilitate the first phase of 400 to 480 units. Here you could see a bit more, and I'm trying to speed up a little bit because I want to get to the Q&A. Here you can see when it comes to public infrastructure, which is another component of our funding, Grand Junction received $1 million for the construction of the Fire Station 7. Additionally, $1 million was awarded to the construction of the Grand Junction Recreation Center, which is a multi-purpose indoor facility. Palisade was granted $1 million for the sewer transfer engineering, design and construction to consolidate their wastewater treatment. And lastly, the BEC was allocated $1 million for the expansion of the water treatment. And here you can see a bit about money that has gone to transportation infrastructure, $1 million for the rehab of the downtown railroad, and Glenwood Springs received $1 million for the reconstruction of Blake Avenue. Bottom line, what I want to make sure you get out of this presentation is we have these funds available to support your communities on housing, infrastructure. So please make sure that if you haven't already, that you contact Dana and Chris. Also, as I wanted to make sure that you know, outside of severance tax, there's other resources through our Division of Housing, our Department of Local Government, that I want to make sure that you are all accessing. And the last thing I will say is, please also, make sure you utilize our other divisions, like the division, the State Demographer's Office, to support any needs you may have as you put grants together. So now I would like to open it up for questions. Kirby?
Yeah. Thank you, Maria. I'm back here.
Oh, hi.
Cody Davis, Mesa County.
We just met.
Yeah, we did just meet.
I know.
And I don't know if you have an answer to this question,
Okay.
but recently the JBC and the legislature swept the severance tax fund to balance the state budget. And as you know, local governments like Mesa County and the small unincorporated areas rely heavily on these funds. Do you know how that's going to affect DOLA and its ability to fund local governments and needed infrastructure projects locally?
Thank you, Commissioner. Thanks for the question, and thanks for the time earlier. So we do not anticipate any impacts to the current fiscal year. So that should have no impact on the rounds that we have coming this year. Our team is closely monitoring if it'll have an impact in other years. We have had higher revenue, and so there isn't a concern just yet. But we will, as soon as we have more information when the session is over, we will make sure that we are communicating with all of you. But our priority is making sure that every dollar gets to you.
Thank you for being here today and giving us this good information. Wendell Kuntz, Delta County, has your department had a chance to look forward, see what 2025, 2026 revenues might be for your department?
Thank you. As I mentioned to the Commissioner, we're currently in that process. I think what happens at the legislative session will play a role on that. We know there's different bills that could potentially have more funding towards housing, et cetera. So right now, our agency is working on our budget along with the OSPB and the governor's office. But again, as we get more of that, we'll make sure to share that information with all of you. Hi. Can you please tell me your name? I'm so sorry, I cannot quite see.
Okay. There we go. I'm Ryan Zorn. I live up in Winter Park, and I think you guys just gave a grant to Town of Granby for some affordable housing. I'm just curious if you would comment on sort of the energy requirements that you're linking to those grant dollars that are going to affordable housing around the state.
So I can follow up with you on more of those details. I know that through our through the Division of Housing, there are some grants that we are including some, not the words requirements, but related to the environmental piece. Our priority is like, how do we make sure that we can build in a way that is sustainable, but we also want to make sure that we're not adding more cost, because we want to make sure that our priority is making sure that we can build as many units as possible. But Ryan, I'll make sure to follow up with you more on those details.
Yeah, so if I could just.
Well, I'm sorry, we're going to have to, I apologize, we're going to have to stop the Q&A.
Okay, I'll come to you so we can chat. Yeah.
Apologize for that. But you all know me, we stay on schedule. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hand for
Sorry,
Maria.
Kirby.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.